No, not yet.
Today, who will open our meeting in prayer.
Good evening, all. As Sharon said, it's absolutely wonderful to see everybody, and we're in for a great evening this evening. So let's bow our hearts and heads in prayer. Our Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, because there is so much for us to gain as we wait on you. Our Heavenly Father, our Lord, our Savior, our Master, and our friend. We open this meeting this evening invoking your presence, Lord, your guidance for wisdom and for direction. Father, we thank you for your sweet Holy Spirit, and now this evening for this wonderful organization, the Health Association for African Canadians. Father, we thank you that you planted the vision, the mission in our founders many years ago. And here, Lord, we are today. We acknowledge you and what you've accomplished through us and what it is we're doing now, and Lord, for the future that you have for your people. Lord, we wait on you. For Psalm 145, verses 15 and 16 tell us, the eyes of all wait on thee, and you give them their food at the proper time. You open your hand and satisfy the desires of everything. So we come to you this evening asking you to continue to teach us to wait on you patiently. And now, especially in this season of waiting, we especially wait believing, trusting, and you are our hope. Father, may your will be done throughout the proceedings this evening and throughout the coming year. We pray, God, for unshakable faith. Faith that, yes, that of a mustard seed, but Lord, we acknowledge that we need you to increase our faith in you. Help us, Lord, to be obedient, to wait on you, to trust and obey, to be still and know that thou art God. We ask your blessings on our co-chairs as they seek to lead us, this great organization. We ask you, Lord, at this time for your comforting spirit, because, Lord, we are grieving, missing our sister mother, Phyllis Marsh Jarvis. We thank you for her life, for the blessing she was to so many on this call and so many, many others. Lord, she did a great work for this association and for your church. So now, King Jesus, we thank you that you have granted us mercy to each and every one this evening. We ask you, God, in closing, that you will light a fire in our hearts to do the things that are pleasing in your sight as we come before your presence, our provider, our preserver, our protector, and our guide. Thank you, Jesus, and may your name be glorified forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Melinda, for that, Deacon Melinda, for that wonderful prayer. Yes, because we know that we need the strength of our God, your creator, whoever is your higher power, in order for us to get through each day. And thank you for referencing Reverend Phyllis. So as many of you know, it was this month that we lost her. Just so some information on her, in addition to what Deacon Melinda has stated, the Reverend Phyllis Marsh Jarvis was a long-standing member of HAWK. She, one of the HAWK directors of our rural and community engagement in Sydney. She was the first woman in Nova Scotia who was ordained by the African Orthodox Church, and she was a minister at St. Philip's African Orthodox Church in Whitney Pier. Phyllis conducted numerous outreach workshops regarding health and initiated the senior project in Whitney Pier. She authored many articles on health issues that affect Black people and was featured in several other articles. During her career, Phyllis served on a number of diverse community boards and was a dialogue for the Peaceful Change Facilitator. She devoted her life to fighting for equity in Black health and will be forever missed. So in her honor, let us have a moment of silence to remember our dear Reverend Phyllis. Thank you all for that reflection. So at this time, everybody has already been, Carl, the agenda's gone out to everyone, right? So you know what's coming up and okay. So people know your places. I will reference you as needed. Otherwise, everybody knows what's in store for you today. Well, what you know is who's gonna be up, but you don't know what they have in store for you. So at this time, I'd like to provide you with an update on some of the activities that Hawk has been engaged in the past year and who we've connected with. By no means is this an exhaustive list, but it will give you an overview. But before I do that, how many of you are new members this year to Hawk? Any new members? Oh, Yala. Nice. And Joanna? Cool. Catherine? Great. We've got some newbies around the table. And Leanne, I see there. Yeah. Wonderful. So this is going to be really good for you guys to give you a sense. And for others who might have lost a little bit of track of some of the things that we've been doing. As you probably heard, we're really quite busy this year. So this is just an overview. We have a category. We've taken all of our activities and we've categorized them. Miss Carla has done that. And we have, one of the key things that I keep saying is, things really ramped up when Black Lives Matter movement. We always knew that Black Lives Matter, but for some reason the world now knows, right? So anyhow, we have a number of requests for participation. The past year, we've received 35 requests for input to make of different organizations to make their program or services culturally relevant, such as Recreation Nova Scotia, the Department of Health and Wellness, the College of Dental Hygienists of Nova Scotia, the Canadian Hospice and Palliative Care Association, the IWK Emergency Department, and so on. So that's 35 individual requests to sit on. So just think about it. That's at least a little more than one a month. In addition to those requests for participation, we've also been asked to sit at meetings. So we received 11 requests to sit at various meetings on various issues such as Black Health Collective, that organization, the Office of Workplace Mental Health, the Physicians and Surgeons, the Registered Nurse at the Canadian Center for Vaccinology, the University Health Nurse. You're getting a picture, right? So you've got 35 requests, you've got 11 meetings. Then, of course, how many have heard our co-pres on the media? We've had 27 requests to speak on vaccine issues, race-related health data that you'll hear more about a little bit later, the implications of medical racism in the healthcare, the impact of anti-Black racism and how it impacts patients, racism impact on child development, challenges faced by African Nova Scotians in the healthcare system, and so on. And there have been others that have been assisting Ms. Sharon in those media requests, such as Dr. Hawes, Rhonda's been on some. So that's where we need people to engage with us as well. So 27 requests, you getting the picture? In addition, there's the research and initiatives. We've been engaged in 16 initiatives, such as creating positive spaces to promote mental health equity for Black, LGBTQI, and Canadians, older patients representing with COVID infection and respiratory distress, the TD Heart Health, the COVID town halls, other research and initiative. So 16 of those. And then letters of support. Okay, so we know what's happening out there. Everybody knows what we're engaged in. And so we've had 14 letters of support from organizations that want to enhance their services to benefit people of African descent, such as People's Counseling Clinic, the Black Wellness Cooperative, Black Physicians of Ontario, the Dartmouth General Hospital, Mobilizing Partnership Projects, and so on. So what does that all sum up to do? So for those who are quick on the math, 103 requests, which really represent, so that's like 8 requests a month. I like breaking things down so it really resonates with me. 8 requests a month or approximately 2 a week. So does that mean that we're busy? Sure. So right now we have a membership of about 78 people, and we hope to increase that number to 100 this year. And as you can see, we're really busy and it can't fall on 1 or 2. We need other people to assist us in some of these areas. Now that was just the stuff that we've been asked to do, to sit at, the meetings and all of that. We have completed a number of activities in the past year, such as the organ donor legislation, the Red Cross mental health, the Shabbat, the matters of Black health, and then some projects that we have underway. So you know, how in the heck are they doing that? And you got projects underway as well, such as the Dartmouth General Hospital Heart Health Initiative. We have the African Nova Scotian Health Strategy that's still ongoing, the Nova Scotia Community Alliance, and the Nova Scotia Mental Health Foundation are some initiatives of some projects that we have underway. And we have some upcoming initiatives, such as the Sisterhood, Stay Tuned, and some work with the Alzheimer's Society. So that's a lot. And Sharon, there's probably a few that I missed. So do you want to fill people in on those ones?
Well, I think that I will say more about race and health data. Thank you, Sister Veronica. But it was, I think, exciting for everybody to see the article that said that that Hawk received $200,000 to put toward mental health for Black women. We had written that proposal, and of course, in the proposal, we connected it to building foundation for the sisterhood, because sisterhood we've been advocating for since 2017, and so this was a way to say, you know what, we're going to help. There's a man in the background. He just happens to be my husband, and he's a Hawk member, so he's allowed. That's John Murdoch. Hello, say hello. Okay, so anyway, we have that to unfold, and we had a meeting this afternoon. We are wanting to continue to push Nova Scotia Health to build that infrastructure, but we're bringing our pennies to the table to build some resources for mental health for Black women, long overdue. And as well, we have been, and I will say more about this later, but I think for those of you who have been on the Hawk journey with us for 21 years or for 19 or for 17 or for 10, you will know that we started out talking about the need for race and other identifiers in health data. We have advocated for that nonstop. And it was only this year about a month ago that the government finally said they were going to do it. And so they want us to help them. And we're like, yes, we will help you because we have been asking for this and it's time we got this. So we are celebrating that tonight, and government has given us a few shackles toward the beginning of that. I'm told by government people that there is more to come, so stay tuned on that. The other one thing that we're going to be doing this summer, my co-mentioned the dementia workshop where Sister Melinda Day is going to help us and Kirsty Creighton, who I think is, if she isn't here, she'll be coming. She is a new member of HAWK, but she is with the Alzheimer's Society. And we're going to do an educational session on dementia. And then later in the summer, probably in August, we're hoping to do one on advanced care planning, because our people have not been engaged in those conversations and in that work. And we have to be ready for what that means for our people. So we're going to engage Sister Melinda and other people with expertise in that area around that as well. And I'm sure there are other things that we are going to be doing in the next year. And every day we get another request, and somebody wants to, I've never seen HAWK have to say, well, what other grant is this that they want us to apply for? I mean, we've never had such an embarrassment of riches in our history, but everybody wants to get in on it, and we're like, okay, but we need all of you, because there is work to do for every one of our members, okay, and then some. So I think that might be it, Sister Veronica.
Okay, wonderful. So just before we jump into more of the program, one thing, Carla, that we need to do, and if we could do it now before people start jumping off, could we do a video shot?
That's like a screenshot?
A screenshot, that's it. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I can do those.
so everybody, camera on, smile real good, look real good, take your best pose.
Come on.
Yeah. Most people, when we're on virtual these days, have their kids in back. Sharon has John. Like, really? Like, hey, John.
I'm just a big kid.
Okay, and you probably have to do it twice if you flip through your screen, Carla. And David, are you with us? I'm just seeing your name.
Dr. David's trying to hide.
Yeah,
He
okay.
hiding.
And Carla, what about you yourself, Carla?
She's not gonna listen.
All right. So
Oh, I said, oh, I didn't realize I was on mute. I said, I look just like my picture. What do you mean?
Carla, you better
okay,
count us down. Count us down, Carla.
Okay, you guys ready? Okay, this is for the first group of people. So say fuzzy monkeys.
Fuzzy monkeys.
Done. Okay, give me a second. I gotta go drop that. Okay, and this is for the second group of people. Well, whatever you want, really. Smile. Done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for hearing me with that. But it's always nice to have a reflection and to see who's all joined us this evening. So now at this particular time, we're going to hear from our HAWK treasurer, Mr. Liston Bailey. Where's our cool dude?
Over in the corner. I see him in the purple shirt.
Thank you very much, Veronica. And welcome again to all the new members, and also welcome to all who are existing. It has been a phenomenal year, I could say. As Sharon and Veronica made mention, whilst we have been advocating for a lot of things over the years, last year the momentum really took place, and coming out of the Black Lives Matter. So whilst it was very down for us, we can look at it on a positive and see what greater initiative it has brought to us as Black people within Canada and even outside of Canada. So with that being said, Carla, I'm going to ask of you if you can share a balance sheet for me.
Yep.
And this balance sheet represents, it's a true reflection of the amount of stuff that as HAWK we have been asked to do, and keeping on top of it. Yes, we do see, as Veronica made mention of, money coming from everywhere. So I do see it as a great opportunity for us to maximize on everything that we have coming in. So Carla is presenting that. Oh, maybe a little bit too small there, Carla. You can maximize.
Better.
Yeah, that's better there. And sure. So up, let it up. Yes, good. So what happened, guys? My computer, I was supposed to be sharing this, and for some strange reason, my computer is down. So I am asking Carla to assist us. So as it is, and this is as of March 31st, and our fiscal year is from April to March 31st. So you'll see in our savings account, these are the balances. And as I said, Sharon made mention of a good contribution came in from the government regarding the sisterhood. So fantastic there. So we're making some progress there. So this would be our balance sheet as at March 31st. And this inclusive of some projects that we have been holding funds on, like the account there that has about 50K in it, that has some funding that we are partnering and we're holding funds for some organization which we work closely with. So thanks very much, Carla, for sharing. You can scroll down a little bit for me there, Carla. So it will totally show you that our finances as of the 31st, we're looking at $681.86, right? So we can go to the other screen now, Carla.
Pardon, I can go what?
Go to the other page.
Oh, other screen.
Yeah. So this is the projects that we have been doing over the time frame. So if you look on the sheet here, we give you a quick rundown of all our income expenditures there. So from the different programs which Veronica spoke of, the Sherlock program, we look at the safe space and the HIV. You go to scroll on, Carla. We look, and last year I can say that we have seen a uptake in donations. We have been getting a quite amount of donations from personnel like private institutions and also individuals who want to be a part and play their part in contributing to us to enhance and also to ensure that we continue the work that we're doing. So you can scroll down a little there, Carla. So you'll see the donation area there. You will see we have a good substantial amount there in our donation. Go down a little bit, so we'll go through the expenses. There. Yeah, so we look at the project, the different types of projects and expenses, like even for, just to mention, like the Red Cross project, here would be some funding that we got after the fiscal year. So next year, you'll see some of those being reflected. And with COVID, we saw some reduction in some of our expenses in the fact that we could save on a few lighter expenses that we typically would have done, like for instance, the rental of the Nova Scotia Cultural Center there. We would see some reduction and so forth in that as well. So you can scroll down for me, Carla. So overall, when you look at everything there, and Carl, and we also had the opportunity. So what we did last year, just to streamline some of our operations for efficiency, because one of the things that we always look at is to ensure that each personnel that is considered an employee of the Hart family, we ensure we look at efficiency in doing that. So we enroll in a software where we could actually look at getting Carla and all our and anyone else who's considered to be an employee of HAWK to have a steady pay system in how they get their salaries passed off to them on a bi-weekly basis. We have also gotten the services of a bookkeeper to help us to keep on top of everything that we're doing on a day-to-day. As I said, as these projects grow, the need did arise for us to have somebody else along with myself to ensure that we are not missing anything when it comes down to our finances on a monthly and then fiscal year basis. Scroll down there for me, Colin. So you'll see your rent and so forth. So if you look at it overall, our total expenses for last year, it's 164. 294.32. So I'll say another phenomenal year, and at least when we look at the ending of this fiscal year, we saw where we had a good amount of earnings that we can carry forward to this fiscal year to get a lot more done. With that being said, there is always room for improvement and growth as it comes on to Hawk and what we have to offer to the community. So with that being said, because we are not a fully funded organization, we still are looking out to, for any funding that is possible for us to continue on the treasure trail that we are on now, to ensure that we impart and we also bring some awareness about the within the Black community and around health within our Black community. Do you guys have any questions regarding the financials for this fiscal year?
All right. Thank you, Liston, for that. Now,
Bernadette has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Miss Bernadette.
That's all right. Thanks, Veronica. Can you go back to other revenue
Sure.
where it says there's 27,000 that just says unquestioned, or I'm just questioning.
Okay, that one, I know that was one of the ones that, so that one for the 27,000, that was from the health strategy consultation. It's just that the time in which it got
Right
to
there,
be.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
2780. What does it mean? No reply to questions. Yeah.
Oh, so what it is the bookkeeper. So when we send over a statement on a monthly basis, we would have to reply to say, hey, exactly what was these funds allocated to. What happened when we got this statement over, he did not rectify, or we did not reply to the question in a timely manner, so he didn't get to update that. But I have it noted. It's the health strategy consultation that money is going towards. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good catch there, Miss Bernadette.
Yeah.
Any other hands there, Carla? Your watchful eyes.
I didn't see any more.
Yeah, no, I have mine up. Donna.
Oh, Donna.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead,
no,
Donna.
I just wanted to comment how proud I feel. As HAC, I can remember when we had a closing balance of $24.94.
Wow.
So we have come a long way. And I know that if Phyllis is looking down, she's saying, wow, 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 because she and I would have been in that together. So it's very well done. Great job.
I see Miss Louise has a question in the chat. Can you comment, Liston, on individual donors and donations?
Yeah, so individual donors and donation, like for instance, the other day, Dr. Omishere, she actually got some funding, and instead of, she donated it to Hawk. And then there was some other personnel that we got some donations from, like for instance, they did, if Carla, you can remind me, I can't remember the exact
O'Regan's
task.
gave us $5,000.
And Oregon's too, and so that's how some of those individual donations have been coming in. So different.
And Emma.
Emma.
Yeah, I
Let's
was just
talk
gonna
about
say
Emma.
it. Yeah, and Emma Bukima, lovely Emma, she did her vaccination in her wedding dress. And as a result, all her friends agreed to donate to Hawk, because she chose our charity, and we got over $250. So thank you, Emma.
Yeah. So that's how some of those donations came about there.
And we expect that in the next year or so, that we'll be able to issue tax receipts for those donations, which we will truly see an increase in donations as well, because everybody loves a tax receipt, right? So, yeah.
And one other thing that I'm going to ask, so I know going forward now, so for our membership dues, and thank you guys for being on time and paying those membership dues. It actually does go a far way in everything that we do. We do have two ways in which the membership dues can be paid, preferably just to ensure that we get the entire $20 per person, and if you're a student, 10. is we ask for you to submit that via e-transfer. I know that Carla will be sending out some receipts, sending out stuff there for it to come in. You can either use Stripe, which gives you the option to use your credit card, or use e-transfer. When we utilize the Stripe function, we only get about $19. So the difference goes as service charge, right? But if we could get all the money, I do ask if you can send it via e-transfer. It is accepted, and don't worry, we get it auto deposit there, and then Carla will be responsible for sending your receipt and notification that your payment was done for the membership fees, right? So
And if
again,
sorry.
What is
Okay.
e-transfer?
Oh, I was just gonna say, and if you read your receipts when you get them, your invoice when you get them, it'll say at the bottom, the email address to send your email money transfer to.
So the question just now was, what is e-transfer?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an electronic
I know
transfer.
what it is. What is our email? What is
Yeah,
our address?
Oh, it's treasurer hot at not ca. But for confirmation, it will be on your invoices when Carla sends them over.
Okay.
Carla, could you actually just put that in the chat now too, please, for folks? That would be great. All right, thank you, Mr. Liston. Another part of your team, is she here? Miss Eunice?
Yes, we're gonna have Eunice speak on, as a part of what we always want to look how we can impart in the community. So we are looking at starting a bursary. So Eunice will speak more on that and how persons can apply to get the grants that we're offering.
Thank you all. Yeah, we are very fortunate to have the opportunity to start a Hack Bursary Fund. And this is going to assist a full or part-time African Canadian student who is attending a recognized college or university in a program leading to a study in health professions. So we are looking to send out the call for applicants. It's going to be done in different ways. We will post it on our website. Hopefully they can click and the application form will be there. We also are looking to utilize our network. So an email will be sent out and shared with our networks to distribute to potential applicants. And the applicants are required to submit a letter of interest and request 2 letters of recommendations and also a statement of professional objectives where they outline their commitment to complete a program. In terms of eligibility, we are strongly encouraging people who are involved in HACK to mention that in their letter, and they need to self-identify if they're Black or African. And those who are attending university or college in Nova Scotia will have a preference on that. The total number of bursaries will depend on the amount available. So the treasurer will know that depending on what we have. And then bursary will be awarded to an applicant who scores the highest mark. We have created a scoring rubric that has different criteria. So 5 of them. The first one is application presentation. The second one is where they have to write a statement of professional objectives and their commitment, and whoever writes the best gets higher score. The letters of recommendations are also going to be evaluated against the scoring rubric, and financial need and responsibility. So if someone has more financial responsibilities and have a higher gap of financial amount for their studies, then they get a higher score than someone else. So it's not just about the GPA. And then the other criteria for the scoring rubric is those who are involved in community contribution or who are involved in hack who are actively involved with HAC. So the scoring rubric will be shared on the website as well, so you can have a look at it. And it is 1 through 10, then we can multiply by 2 at the end of it. We will have a review team. Hopefully we'll have volunteers both from the board and even members. We are encouraging people to be involved in this, but we are looking to have a review team of at least 5 people, and they will have the scoring rubric that they'll go through the applications that comes in. Ideally, we are recommending that when the applications comes in, they will be allotted a number so that when they go out, it is a number, not a name. And then when the qualifying ones comes back, that number will be attached to the name. Then it will go to the executive to do the announcement of who wins. So for those who, we are hoping to get more applicants. So if we don't get back to you, then you didn't qualify. Only those who qualify or receive the bursary will be notified. We are hoping to make the call this month, and applications deadline will be in August, and we hope to make a decision by October, and then the funds will be released in January. Is there anything else I missed, Listen? Charisma, are you there?
No, I don't think there was anything that you missed out during your presentation there.
This is exciting. That's all I can say. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, you're right, Eunice. It is exciting to think that, you know, here we are in a position to be able to also give back to others that are working in the health field. Sister Bernadette, you have a question, or is that?
Thank you, Sister Veronica. Yeah, bursaries and scholarships are always helpful for our students who are trying to, I'm a little concerned about the deadline of January of when they get their money. As we all know, our students need to know they have money available in September when they're going to school. Otherwise, they're not going to make it to the second semester if they don't have money to get them through to the first semester. So why a deadline of January and not being able to give them money in September?
I'm hoping if we can get enough volunteers and do the review soon, and then we can release the money after August. August is the deadline, so we are allowing time for the review and the feedback before all that. But January is not too far. Your concern is valid, and it will be tabled back to the executive. We could make changes.
Deacon Melinda, were you starting to say something?
Yeah, I just needed some clarity there. I got myself a little confused. So how many applicants are we, or how many applicants are we able to help? And that number is different from the what the lady was talking about in terms of the draw.
Okay, let me clarify.
Yeah. Okay.
The number of bursaries will depend on the amount available, and I defer that question to the executive and the treasurer. So depending on the amount available, the number of bursaries will be calculated based on what is on the pot. But each bursary will be $500.
Okay, so each bursary is $500.
$500. And usually people can allow a week or 2 or a month to do applications. So we are in June, and the expectation is that by the end of this month, or hopefully this week, we will put the application up on our website and send out an email. Then we give the applicants at least 2 months to prepare, because they have to reach recommenders. So you don't want to rush recommenders. It's 2 recommendations that they have to submit. Okay. So we are allowing time for people to prepare the application and submit it no later than August, end of August. And then we are allowing time for the reviewers, because depending on the number of applications we get, we need time. As you heard the co-chairs explain, their hands are full. So that's why I was saying I hope to get volunteers for reviewers. And then the announcement will be made in October. And so that's why we suggested then the bursary will be released for the January term. But that could change. As I said, it can be tabled back to the executive for a final decision in terms of dates.
So thank you for that information, Eunice. As you guys know, this is new. This is, you know, this is our first year out of the gate with this. Are we going to have it 100% correct? Getting out, maybe not, but working with you, we know we can do better. So if you have some input into it, I know Liston, head of our treasurer, head of our finance, whatever, would be interested in having you a part of the team. I see Dr. Chad has a question in here regarding the review committee. We really don't, we have not established a review committee as such yet. So if you're interested, there's another task that we can add to our plate. So in the interest of time, we're going to move on. So if there's
Veronica, I just had a quick question and I will move on.
Okay.
But I don't know if Eunice said it was open to African Canadians in terms of Canada, or like could they have graduated from a high school in Canada, thinking about Hawk's title, or is it a student who graduated from Nova Scotia High School that's African Canadian? Because Hawk is the Association of African Canadians, and we have people on the call that are also national. So I'm not sure if in the description it said had to graduate from a high school in Nova Scotia.
No, it's not just based for high school, because we said.
Okay, well, what I mean by that, what I'm trying to clarify, is it for someone just from Nova Scotia, or is it somebody from the country of Canada?
Right. Okay, so that's
so eligibility, those who identify as going to school in Nova Scotia and are of African heritage will have preference.
Okay, no, I got the question.
I'll join the committee, because that question just needs to be clearer, so we know if we're opening it up to people in Toronto who are coming to Nova Scotia. That's what my question is.
Yeah. So thank you for raising that, Barb. Great question. It's not addressed in there, but that by you bringing that up and then offering to be on the committee, we know it's going to be dealt with. So again, thank you, Eunice, for laying that out. This is exciting, you guys, that we're going to have our first bursary coming out. So good news. Well done. So can someone help me? Does the treasury report need to be moved at this time? Do we do that?
I believe so.
Yes, Donna is shaking. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, she's gonna be our guru in this stuff. So can Liston, can you move the acceptance of your report, please?
Sure. I'd like to move the report on. People in favor?
No, Liston is moving the acceptance of this report. Do I have a seconder? Donna? Okay, are you ready for the question?
Question.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you, Liston. So now at this time, we are, yes, thank you, Liston and Eunice. Now we need to have the 2020 meeting minutes, Carla, approved. So those up for folks, and we'll quickly review them. And then, like in the last motion, I'll need to have someone move them, second them, any questions and all that stuff from them. Is Miss Carla with us?
I'm just trying to find it here in my screen.
Okay. And then we're going to get down to the business at hand with the presentations.
we have the governance
Jim.
nomination
Yeah, what-
report after too.
You're right, Ms. Sharon, I do see that. Okay, so this would have been last year, and as we know, a lot has occurred in the past year. So quickly, we're gonna go through this. We had our meet and greet, not that quickly, Carla, I can't sit here. The presidents gave
Sorry about that.
gave a report on the work that has been done. Mohammed had asked the question about the IWK retaining an African Nova Scotian health coordinator. And the response was, HAWK has been pushing the health authority to start engaging with the strategy in more meaningful way and to get an advisory committee established, and the terms of reference had been drafted. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the strategy was a bit delayed. Can we go down a little bit more? David said it's up to the institution to carry forward. This was all pertaining to the African Nova Scotian health strategy that I just referenced. So David recommended that it was up to them to move forward on their recommendations and to do what they can now, and then advise what they couldn't do. If I recall, and Sharon, you can correct me,
Yes.
or actually Rhonda can correct me, because of the discussion that came out of the African Nova Scotian Health Strategy at our past AGM, we had an information session where Rhonda went through the strategy and informed our members of what was involved in what was in the actual strategy, correct? That did occur?
Okay, Rhonda can speak. I don't think it was really that so much as she was talking about the process, because the Nova Scotia Health has yet to publicly release or endorse the strategy, but we hope it's pending. And maybe Sister Rhonda can tell us something about that.
Yep. No. Okay. Hi, everyone. No, you got that right. It is pending. So yeah, there's nothing else I have to add.
Okay.
This
All
time.
right. So more pushing. Then where there was a presentation that Don't Count Us Out, Black Health Equity in the COVID-19 by Dr. Dryden, the J.R. Johnston Chair. She gave a summary of the research project that she was engaged with, down. And the aim of the project was to work with members of the Preston community. Some of the benefits were hiring from people from within the community, the use of the COVID response strategy as a model. Then the researchers would welcome and appreciate any help from HAWK. The ultimate goal of the project was for the development of community-based population health registry. Then the directors gave their updates, and then we completed the meeting.
Yes, and I want to add that this AGM of ours from 2020 was held in November. So we're actually only 7 months, not even quite 7 months later with this AGM. The reason the 2020 AGM happened in November and not June was because of COVID.
Right.
So you know, we're quick on the mark this year and having our AGM in June, which is the normal. It was not normal last year, but we had it, and we had it in November.
Then again, what was normal last year?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so I need a mover and a seconder for last year's minutes.
Moved by David.
Moved by Dr. David, a seconder.
I'll second them, Carla.
Can staff second?
No.
If it's not a board member,
Um,
Has to be a board member.
yeah, I think it does have to be a board. I'll second.
No.
Donna will second.
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the question?
Question?
All those in favor, approve the minutes of 2020, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? So moved. Okay, thank you, Carla. Okay, next up is Dr. Cookie. Where is he? On my screen. He's still hiding, I take it. There he is.
Here I am.
Dr. Cookie is the chair of our Hawk Governance Committee. And
Donna.
on,
No,
Donna is it-
no, he's
Donna
not.
is it
oh,
too.
it's Donna, sorry, sorry, Dr.
It's
Donna, okay, Dr.
Yeah.
Donna.
Dr.
But
Donna, thank
on
you
the
for the
committee,
promotion.
on the committee with Donna is Dr. Cookie and
And-
Dr. Haas.
Exactly.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So over to you, Miss Donna.
Thank you. So thank you very much. Well, Veronica's already said that our Governance and Nominating Committee consists of myself, Dr. David Hawes, and Jacob Cookie. So currently on our board, we have 11 directors who will be continuing on for the 2021-22 year. We do have capacity for 15 directors, so we are looking for new members. So we'll be hitting some of you up. Stepping down this year will be myself, Alami Jones, and of course, our late dear Phyllis, who would be stepping down. So the slate for 2021-22 looks like this. Sharon Davies Murdoch, co-president. Veronica Marsman Murphy, co-president. Charisma Walker is secretary. Liston Bailey, treasurer. Rhonda Atwell, Tari. I'm not going to pronounce your last name because I'm going to mess it up. So my friend Tari. Lori Root, Mario Roll, Dr. Jacob Cookie, Eunice Abega, and Dr. Oshamarie Dryden. So we would encourage anybody who's interested to join us. Please submit an application. If you go on our website, there's board nominees, and you can apply at any point in time. You don't have to wait till it calls for nominations to join us. Just fill out the form and pass it on to us. So I approve, I'm going to present this motion. I need a seconder. And David and Jacob, have I missed anything?
I think that's it.
Okay. So I need a seconder.
I'll second the motion. Bernadette?
Thank you.
Ready for the question? All those in favor of the nomination report signify by saying aye.
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 Those contrary? Anyone abstain? So moved, Ms. Donna, well done.
Thank you.
Did you guys not just say that it has to be a board member to second?
Yep, why? Who did?
Because Bernadette's not a
Because
board member.
Carla had seconded.
Board
before.
members are members.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be a board member.
Not a board
Yeah,
member,
she's
it
a
has to be
member.
Would
so-
No,
be
she's a member.
members, not staff.
Yeah.
I'm also a member.
Right, okay, all right.
Okay, well, you can then.
Apologies for that, Miss Carla.
Yeah.
Accepted.
Okay,
I
so,
think it would go back to governance. I'm not trying to create any issue here, but I think you have to figure out in governance if your staff, because your staff can be members
Yes.
and they can be members, but you can't just say, okay, we're sorry, because if staff can't vote, then you need to make that in the governance structure. Because you can be
Yeah.
a member and a staff, but you got to figure out which one trumps which position. So if you're staff and you can't vote, you can't vote. And if for this meeting we're saying yes, but in the governance structure, you got to figure out, can staff actually have a vote? And in most cases, they can't.
yeah,
Well,
Well,
we'll look under that. We'll look at that.
Yes,
under,
for next
governance.
AGM, so then it can be passed, yeah.
yep. Thank you, Miss Burr. Okay, so now we'll start with our presentations tonight. Firstly, we'll hear from our co-president, because I know you guys aren't used to her not talking too much, right? So, you know, know you're all saying, what the heck is going on? There's Miss Sharon there and she hasn't said too much. So here's her time. So Sharon is going to speak on the race in health data.
Yes, well, thank you, Sister Veronica. And I'm going to surprise you again because I'm going to be very quick, as all presentations will be quick this evening. May I ask my colleague and staff member, Carla, to put my slide up at some point and we can share the screen, but I will start talking and that can just be there as something to look at besides my face. So I am so pleased to talk to you tonight about race in health data and our journey for this or toward this. Every step of our journey with COVID-19 has reminded us how important it is to have health information that is specific to us as a people. We have been asked over and over and over how many people of African ancestry have had COVID-19, how many have been hospitalized, how many have passed away, unfortunately, how many have been vaccinated, and so on. HAWK has wanted to answer questions like that about COVID-19 and other diseases that we think affect us more than it does other races. We have advocated for this health information for the 21 years that we have been established. We have met with and written to governments over 2 decades, asking that information about our health be collected safely and after meaningful consultation with our communities. Over the past 21 years, we have repeated the same points in our advocacy with 3 provincial governments, at least. Well, 3 different governments and then a couple of the same. So we have made these points. HAWK knows that African descended populations are marginalized and have poorer health than the majority of Nova Scotians and Canadians, and disadvantages when dealing with the health system. Historically, African Canadians have been subjected to barriers, including enslavement, segregation, systemic racism, discrimination, poverty, and many other factors. These experiences have deeply impacted our interactions with the health system. Being subjected to everyday systemic barriers, along with the combined impact of the factors that harm our health, lead to more chronic disease. Health information about poverty, injustice, racism, anti-Black racism, poor education, unemployment, and other factors, the social determinants of health, affect marginalized groups. And we know that. And African descended people are among those who are likely unaware of their risks for certain diseases and disorders, suffer from higher rates of chronic disease, have reduced life expectancy, access care less frequently, and feel less comfortable with the quality of care they receive than those who are well represented in the health system. Nova Scotia does not have, nor has ever had, information about how many people of African ancestry in Nova Scotia live with chronic diseases, including mental illness, high blood pressure, diabetes, sickle cell anemia, cancers, particularly breast, prostate, colorectal, and lung cancers, heart disease, and others. We don't know how many Black people are using health programs, health centers, hospitals, or alternative health programs. We don't know how many of our people smoke, drink too much, or have other addictions. We don't know how many are overweight, live with depression, mental illness, or contemplate suicide. A comprehensive, system-wide health data collection that allows people to self-identify by ethnicity, race, and language is needed. The education and justice systems and the employment equity policies of the province and nationally encourage people to self-identify so that better planning and services can be put in place. But that has not been the case with health. Evidence on which to make decisions about health have never been more important. And to have it, we need to self-identify on our MSI health card, the one comprehensive collective data vehicle in use. So we have made those points over and over for the last 21 years.
21
Finally, finally,
You're muted, Sharon.
What
have I been muted the whole time?
No,
No.
just that, finally,
Okay,
finally.
so let me go back to finally. Finally, after all this time and all our work, public health and the Rankin government have agreed to move forward on this. Celebrate. First, public health agreed to make it possible to identify by race when you go for your COVID-19 vaccine. The public health nurses go through the process of asking a number of questions to ensure that the vaccine is safe for you, and they also ask about your race. At least they should be asking. Can you choose? You can choose to self-identify or not. But if you do, it can help the health system finally get the information our people have been asking for, like how many of us have been vaccinated. Just recently, the Rankin government announced the establishment of a community-based working group to support collection of race-based data in the health system. HAWK is participating on the working group. Therefore, after years of advocacy, we can engage and work with our communities to collect it. HAWK has always maintained that data that is collected by race, ethnicity, and language will help government identify and address systemic racism and inequities in healthcare. We need to ensure that policies and programs are made to better serve our people and our communities. This will be the beginning of collecting our health information for the long term. Right now, our James R. Johnson Chair, Dr. Omishere Dryden, who works in the Dalhousie Faculty of Medicine office, is leading research on COVID-19 in the Preston Township in partnership with Drs. Ingrid Waldron, Dr. Barbara Hamilton Hitch, and other African Nova Scotian and Black researchers. Work is going on in the township communities to help get answers to your health information questions. The researchers are asking for MSI card numbers so that they can get the information from the health system in a safe and anonymous way. The information they gather will not be about us as individuals, but will give researchers collective information about the health of the Preston Township communities. This means that the questions about the impact of COVID-19 in the township can be answered. Our health is our wealth. Collecting health data about us as a people gives us the evidence we need for better care, services, and better health outcomes. Please self-identify when you get your COVID-19 vaccine. Work with HAWK to tell government how best to collect our health information, and work with our Black researchers to give them the information they need for research by us and for us. And thank you so much for your kind attention.
Sharon.
Yes.
Sharon.
Well done.
Yes, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
So when I go for my second shot of the vaccine, should I be asking my health provider if they need identifiable information from me?
Well, they should
Because I
have,
haven't been asked.
They should be
you
asked.
haven't been asked. Yeah.
No.
So this is, I'm hearing that this is the case, even though this very day, we were told by public health officials that everyone should be asked. I also know that that when you go in to make appointments for vaccine, you are filling out a form which also asks. But to my understanding, and what was confirmed today, was that public health people should be asking at the time when you are about to receive the vaccine. So to answer you, Alicia, I think you should. If it has not been that you've been asked, ask them, would they, why are they not asking? And has this information been captured? Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sharon. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I know Sharon alluded to a couple of folks in her presentation. Dr. Almashere Dryden was one, and then we have Kari as well. And they're going to present now on that research that Sharon referenced. So where are you guys on here? Dr. Dryden? Oh, there she is.
Hi, Veronica.
And Kari. Okay, cool.
Presenting on my own research shortly after Dr. Dryden presents on our research. So I'm also.
Okay.
I was going to tell you to go first. Go ahead, Boo.
Oh, do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Let me
You
finish.
guys-
Let me finish chewing. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. If you're eating, no problem. Let me go first. Can I share screen?
I was just going to say, do you need the ability to share? I'll make you
I
come.
just threw together something last minute just because I know sometimes on a Zoom meeting it can be hard to keep track of some information. So I'm just going to do that for you folks right quick. But thank you so much for having me today. It's a real pleasure. Hawk is family, so I'm really, really pleased to be able to kind of talk about this. And what I'm going to be talking about is my dissertation research. So my dissertation is tentatively titled Power and Presence, Black Social Movements in Policing and Public Health in Halifax, Nova Scotia and London, Ontario. So I'm going to kind of skim over some of the background here, just because I think, to be perfectly honest, Sharon did an excellent job of outlining what some of this core background that I was going to outline is, right? Like, in other words, the kind of impetus for me developing this dissertation research was not only a concern, as Sharon mentioned, about the inability for Black folks to be able to tell meaningful stories about their own health with the information that ought to be gathered, health identifying information that will help us get better health services and things of that nature. But also thinking broadly about the stories we tell about how we create policy change. And I think HARC is a really excellent example of an organization that has worked for over 2 decades to change the policy landscape in Nova Scotia pertaining to matters of Black health. But that story, we're telling it in parts, we're able to kind of capture pieces of it, we're talking to media sources, but from a political science perspective, which is where my background is, it's not really captured, it's not really understood, and we're not codifying best practices so that others who are looking to marshal similar activities in other spaces might be able to learn from us, and we might be able to learn from them. And so that's where the background and the kind of like thought process was behind how I came to do, or how I came to begin to study my dissertation research. So I'm just going to outline here a few of my kind of core research objectives. So the first is to tell nuanced stories about Black activism, particularly in the realms of policing and public health. So why am I talking about policing as well? Because quite frankly, as we know, policing affects Black health. Black health is encapsulated in what we might think of as issues of public safety, right? So the challenges of surveillance, the challenges of racial profiling, street checks, things of that nature affect our health. And we've got to account for that in the ways that we're thinking about advocating for Black health. The second research objective here is to document the strategies that activists use to prompt policy change and to document the successes and failures of these approaches. So what have we tried? What things have gone really well? What things haven't gone so well? What are we building from? What are we learning? And what can we pass to the next generation? And the third research objective is to support advocacy efforts in advancing racial equity in public health and policing for people of African descent, particularly in Nova Scotia. So while I'm doing outreach, while I'm going to be interviewing folks in London, Ontario, what I'm hoping to do is learn from those folks. But my primary goal, the place that I live, the place that I hope to live in the future is Nova Scotia, right? And so, that's where I put my energy, that's where I put my focus, not because I don't want to contribute anywhere else, but because, I'm a HARC member and I'm living in Halifax right now. So that's where that work comes. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to change slide. Okay, so my method. So I've got a total of about 40 interviews that I'm going to be doing, but for folks that are working primarily in public health, my hope is to get around 10 interviews. And so those interviews are going to be up to 90 minutes long. They're going to be semi-structured interviews that are going to be based in part on questions I derive from looking at the archives, looking historically about how Black folks have taken care of their health, how Black folks have resisted issues of surveillance and marginalization in that context, right? And so I'm hoping to sit down with folks, have a list of questions written out, but of course, as in any meaningful conversation, I'm also hoping that we just go to new places. I can learn if folks are willing to speak with me about all kinds of different things within the context of folks' lives who might sign up for these interviews. And just a brief timeline. So between now and October, what I'm doing is collecting some archival data, developing a deeper historical background so that kind of helps to tell that nuanced story. So we're not acting like, I'm brand new and I've just come here and here's what I'm trying to do. Instead, it's actually really placing this research in a broader context and lineage. My hope is from October to December to conduct interviews with folks, as many folks as I can speak to. From December to April, I'll be continuing interviews. Hopefully some of those will be in London, Ontario, of course, if I can actually travel. If not, those interviews will be over Microsoft Teams and things of that nature. And then through next year, I'll be drafting my dissertation, fingers crossed. Hopefully I can get it done before September. But we'll see how that goes. And so, I would really love to speak to folks who are interested in this research. If you want to learn a little bit more, I've very much skimmed over on a high level, but that's just to kind of keep this as time-bound and condensed as possible to hear about all the other amazing products going on. Here's the REB number in case you were interested. I have past ethics, but please feel free to reach out to me over email. You can give me a phone call or shoot me a text. You can also reach out to me on Twitter if that's your thing. LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever. I'm just more than happy to speak with folks in whatever spaces and places they're in. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Tari, for that. Okay.
I too need to share my screen, please. Thank you, Tari. I'm going to try and keep it. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Carla. You already set that up, didn't you? I missed it. All right. Share. So thanks again. It's great. I'm just so thrilled to be able to work with such fantastic people and really appreciative of the continued support, guidance, critique, and accountability that is asked of me and demanded of me. It is the way we do community to make sure that we're always taking care of one another. And I'm profoundly appreciative of that. So thank you. And so I know I have 5 minutes. So I wanted to talk a bit about the research, and this part here is something I was doing as the James R. Johnston Chair, but I wanted to highlight it because it speaks again to just the kind of demands that are made on Hawk and that are made on both Sharon and Veronica. And I should also add here, which I just didn't have time, is that Hawk, by way of Sharon, it was the first year at Dalhousie for Dalhousie medical students that they actually ever had a component on Black health or Black health equity. And that was 3 one-hour classes. And one of those times is when Hawk via Sharon came in to speak about what does Black health look like for African Nova Scotian communities and Black folks in Nova Scotia. So it's really the first time they've had like, you know, a planned laddering kind of education as med students. And so I wanted to highlight that as extra labor that Hawk has been doing, as well as this new series that we've launched that Hawk via Sharon was also involved in. So just, and there's a link to this conversation on the RJ Chair website if you missed it and you want to kind of get caught up with what the conversation is. And we were with Sane Dubé. So it was, you know, it was fire. It was amazing. In terms of research, yes, don't count us out, which is a project that I'm a PI on, but we're working collaboratively with the work that Dr. Ingrid Waldron is doing. And so here I want to identify our team members and our research staff. Many of you will know Miranda Kane, many of you will know Crystal Watson, and many of you will know Brianna Willis. Tolu Olodokpa had to step down as the project coordinator, but she became a parent. And so we're very excited that she became a parent. Yay, Tolu. And apparently her child was a little too young to be a research assistant. And so she had to step away from the project. And Jad Sino, who does a lot of the data analysis for us, and he's been great, and he also works on my project, Don't Count Us Out. And so yes, at one point in the winter, gosh, Barb, what day was this? So they asked us to go and take a picture. So here we are outside the Black Cultural Center in the, only Barb's looking fierce, huh? Barb's looking great. Me,
You're
I look like I
funny.
just rolled out of bed, but that's okay. That's my sister Barb. It's okay, I feel good about it. And so our project, as we said last year, is really community informed, really wanting to identify how public health education was done, whether or not we were measuring what we call the determinants of trust. And so we wanted to know if folks in the Preston Township actually felt that the information coming out of public health was reliable, was trustworthy, was like, did they believe it, right? Like, did you believe it? And so we do these measurements and a variety of other projects because it's a way to be able to identify whether or not public health hit the mark or missed the mark. And this was at the beginning of, near the beginning of the pandemic. So April, May, June, in and around there where we were working on ethics. And so really close to when North Preston got, you know, unnecessarily named. And we see the harm of that, right? Thinking about Dr. Ngola from New Brunswick, who was named, had death threats, all of that, who recently was cleared. He had to hire like his own investigator to explore that. So we see these kind of what people would consider off the cuff remarks can really be impact us in a negative way. And then, of course, initially we asked to do this as a way to identify why it's important to collect disaggregated data, but importantly, why community members need to be part of the governance, part of the caretaking of that data. And that meant asking people for their health card numbers. So, and this is where there's been, we've needed to do more work, honestly, around why we're asking for health card numbers. Like, I know my auntie would not be giving me her health card number. And I was the one who like was her patient advocate. And she was like, turn around. And so she was not trusting me with that. And I know that there is hesitation, like, why would you want this? Who are you? How are you going to use it? And so that's the part we're working on right now. The project was extended to September 1st. And so we're hoping to go back and collect information, not begin with collecting, begin with discussing and answering questions and taking people through the process of what happens once we collect the health card information, where it goes, you know, assuring folks that I really would not be able to figure out what Tari's information is, or what Veronica's information is. Like I just went once Health Data Nova Scotia gave us the overall look, if you will, snapshot of the community, I would not be able to dig into that data and find personal information. So it ends up becoming a broad average, but what we know for sure is that everybody that we're speaking about is African, Nova Scotian, and Black. And you don't know that when we collect disaggregated data based on postal codes or geographic regions. When we collect health card information, we know the people we are, the information, the health data that's already collected, that when we look at that, we know we're specifically talking about, and sorry, specifically looking at what the issues are, what the broad realities are in the Preston Township of African, Nova Scotian, and Black folks. Happy to answer more of those questions later. I do have some rough data, but if we have time, I can go over that. This is a new project with the Public Health Agency of Canada. That there's an Atlantic hub. I'm the Atlantic hub leader, co-lead, and so this project, it was initially set up to look at sexually transmitted and bloodborne infections, and whether or not folks, African, Caribbean, and Black, including African Nova Scotian folks, had access to services during COVID for STBVI, sexually transmitted and transmissible and bloodborne infections. So we've had some difficulties in collecting data because people are like, why would I need to do this? What is it about us? This is not something that's important to me. But it's a larger project as well, because this will be the first time across the Atlantic, New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador, African, Caribbean, and Black, including African Nova Scotians, that we're able to also collect information and figure out what our realities are in the Atlantic around mental health, family violence, stigma, discrimination, substance use, housing, stability, and food insecurity. So tapping into what Sharon was talking about earlier in terms of the information we don't know because we don't have this data. And I wanted to say, one of the reasons why we as communities feel over-researched is because we don't have the disaggregated data. And so often, in order to get the information, we need to come back to our communities again and again and again to try and cobble together a broader story about what is actually happening in our communities and what resources we need. This is the ad for it. If you're on Facebook, if you check the James Robinson Johnson Facebook page, that group, this poster is there along with the hyperlink to the survey. Brianna Willis is the research assistant on this project as well. So if you know Brianna, please reach out to her. She's very excited about the project, and I'm happy to answer more questions as well. And then this is the project that Veronica mentioned at the beginning. We are still waiting to hear if this has been funded. It was for one project. Again, this is across Canada, the first of its kind, looking at services and healthcare for Black LGBTQI communities, and it's organization led, and Hawk is a member of that. So that's what I have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Why do I not know how to do this yet? How do I not unshare my screen?
Thank you so much, Dr. Dryden. Any questions?
I don't see it.
Right at the top, you should see stop sharing.
I don't see it. Why is that? Hold on. Oh, there. My gosh, it was being hidden. It's been a year. Why would I not know how to do this?
Thank you again so much for that. So now I'm up with the COVID stuff. This shouldn't take long because I'm sure everybody knows everything about this. Carly, do I have sharing privileges? No.
No, but I can give them to you.
You should, Veronica. Everybody can share. No.
It's okay. So I'm sure all of you guys, what are you seeing? Are you seeing the, how come it's not? What are you seeing? Are you seeing the screen, my presentation or my email?
We can see
Your
your presentation.
presentation.
Okay, cool. Usually it has that green box around it, but I'm not seeing that.
Maybe if you go to presentation mode.
Presentation mode?
Yeah, if you look at the very, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, well, click up with some stuff. Okay, yeah.
Now what are you seeing at all?
The presentation alone, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Charisma. All right, so as you guys know, Hawk and ABSW have been hard at work for the past year and a bit with our COVID initiative. So just to give you really quickly, because I know my time is limited and I could talk fast. So as you know, this is a joint initiative that started back in April of 2020. And we are now at the point where we went from, we were initially the COVID response team. Now we're the response initiative. Then we went from response, we went into the impact, and now we're at the vaccine stage of our initiative. We have a provincial scope in what we do, and what we know is that the team members on the initiative are vital, and you'll see some of the roles of those in a few seconds. The COVID team initially met weekly, now we're at monthly meetings. We have received 1,733 calls on the toll-free line, but up to the end of May. Tentative completion date for the initiative, and again, it's tentative because we don't know what COVID will do, but we'll stay in place until we feel comfortable that our people are safe. Right now, it looks like it'll be October of 21. Here's the plan in terms of what it looks like. You have Sharon and I as the co-managers of the initiative. We have our toll-free line that is run out of the ABSW office. We have two HAWK coordinators, Donna and Dr. David. We have our health coordinator with Rhonda. And we have our AUBA, that's the African United Baptist Church coordinator, Rose Frazier, our educational consultant, Karen Hudson, who's the principal at Auburn High School. We have our ANSA coordinator, who is our liaison with the government departments, and that's Margot Hampton now. And we have the Department of Community Services coordinator, Sandy Graves. In addition, we have a number of community coordinators. This is what the community coordinators looks like. And I know it's pretty busy, but the point of it is that just about every Black community, a number of Black communities or areas are covered. So anytime there's anything going out, we would contact this person. We would say to Barbara Roberts in Digby, we'd say, Barb, this initiative is rolling out. Can you locate some folks who want to participate? Here comes the newsletters. Can you ensure that they get distributed? So we have somebody on the ground at in a number of our communities. So in the response part of our initiative, we had the town halls. Many of you guys participated in our town halls. Hawk was the first out of the gate with the information session on vaccine. We established our toll-free line. The COVID initiative, that whole team of folks was established. We connected with government to set up some funding for the initiative. We got our COVID community coordinators happening, and we developed our community newsletter. So all of this is part of the first phase of it. Then we moved into the impact, and the impact is looking at what impact was COVID having on our people and people of African descent in our province. So what that meant is we had to design or have designed culturally specific health information so that when our people picked up a pamphlet on COVID, that they were represented. We developed partnerships with a number of organizations to have services provided. And this is a list of all the services that were provided. Many of them we still do provide even now in our vaccine phase. Like if you need grief sessions, we can have that arranged. Mental health, that will be ongoing. The vaccine information, it's still happening now. Now we're into the vaccine phase. We're working with the Department of Health and Wellness, Public Health, the ANSA office, and Communications Nova Scotia to roll out vaccine clinics in a number of our communities. So far to date, we've had 5 African Nova Scotian clinics, and we've had 4 within HRM, 1 in Tracadie, and a total of 977 people were vaccinated. So flip back to Sharon's conversation about how many people of African descent in the province have been vaccinated. What we have surety in is the fact that out of our clinics, 977, but we know provincially that there's been a lot more people. For instance, we were supposed to have a clinic this week in, I think it was this week, yeah, in Yarmouth, Digby, and the Valley. And we canceled those because we were informed a number of the people down in those areas were already vaccinated at the regular community clinics. So we're like, applaud, that's great. They didn't come through we didn't have to have our clinics because people did not wait. They wanted to be vaccinated. There's another HM clinic. This was done last week. It's actually this week. That will be happening at New Beginnings Church what is today? On Wednesday. So again, it's first dose. And we have plans for second dose clinics happening in 5 other clinics that will be happening within the next month. Outcomes, research partnerships. I mean, we have relationships with a number of organizations now who probably didn't even know that we existed before. This model that we have used for COVID is a model that can be used provincially for just about any type of emergency in our province in the Black communities. So we now know who to go to when things are happening. We know who to connect with to get the pulse of the community in their area, who to connect to. We have questions about what's happening in their area. We have that down. So this model is something that can be used. So we're really proud of the work that we've done in that. But it would not be possible without the community support. If we did not have those people in the communities to go to, we wouldn't be able to do what it is that we do now. It's definitely given heightened awareness of both of our organizations. You can see just how much Hawk has grown in the past year, and we know it will continue to. We have support from all the levels of government, have been contacting us, providing with information, partnering with us in different initiatives, and at some levels providing some funds. And as you probably have seen in our newsletter or even on our website, we have received the Human Rights Award for this COVID work. So kudos to us. Outcomes, culturally Pacific health policy enhancements. Oh, Sharon, do you want to take over this or is it all me? I'll keep going, hearing nothing from Sharon. Okay, so culturally Pacific health policy enhancements as a result of the work that we're doing, such as some of the stuff that you've heard from Sharon already about the health data, as well as the Black health infrastructure that's soon going to be happening through the Sisterhood Initiative. And then, of course, we started with our COVID initiative, providing culturally Pacific policies. So looking at some of the work that we've been doing. So we're really proud of the outcomes that we've delivered. Lessons learned, that we need to be culturally, we know that. You need to be culturally Pacific when you're delivering programs. Our communities are different, yet they're the same. So when we go into and we roll out an initiative in one community, for instance, I'll give you a for instance, when we were rolling out our cooking class, our cooking session to keep people at home at that time, what was happening is in a number of the communities, the Zoom cooking session, everybody was in their home doing it. But yet in Yarmouth, this is at the point when we could still get together up to 50 people. They did it in their community center. So that's okay. We're flexible. We roll with that. And then the support, as I mentioned already earlier, that supportive community is vital in this initiative. Funding came from all of these sources and is still coming. So we're able to deliver all of those initiatives that you've seen in the impact stage because of the funding from these folks. And that's our COVID initiative. Any questions from anyone on what it is that we've been doing? I think most people are familiar with our work. Okay, silence is golden. Moving on.
Oh no, it's not silence. It's hard to get to the unmute button.
Okay.
And the hand up button. I guess what my quick question might be something that comes behind me, and I know that Chad can appreciate where I'm coming from, as can many of you others. But as a health researcher, and Ami Saray and I were both really excited when we saw the fact that the survey does collect race-based data. So I say that in terms of the vaccine, how can we as HAWK get access to that information? Because even in terms of when we were on calls with Chad and some of the research we're doing out of Dartmouth General, and Sharon is right up this alley as well, that the colonoscopy information is also collected when you do your at-home test, and we don't do anything with it. So even though we don't have the race-based data per se and everything we like to have it in, there are some places that have race-based data that we're not doing anything with. And I think that if you're sitting here with the COVID test that did collect race-based data, we should ask for analysis of that now, like how many people of African descent, and I think it even might have broken it down in terms of how you identified. I can't remember, it's been so long. And even in terms of the information around the colon cancer research, that's another area that we can collect the survey information from that we haven't. So I just throw that out more specifically for the COVID, what you just presented. How can we get access, or is anybody interested in looking at where are we now with the early testing or vaccination? Because we would have that information, especially around our 5 sites that HAWK has supported and sponsored in ABSW. We should be able to find out, because even though you said, Veronica, all African Nova Scotians haven't worked through the clinics, it was people who lived in the community. Not everybody who lived in the community was African Nova Scotian. So I still would be curious to know how many of the African Nova Scotian individuals have been received their first or second vaccine based on those numbers. I hope I didn't babble too much and made sense.
Okay, I got you right up to the last part. So let me answer the first part of the question. How do you get at those stats? Well, Sharon, David, and I, as well as Rhonda, yeah, just the 4 of us meet every 2 weeks with some health officials, and we put topics or agenda or requests on the agenda. So this is one, Barb, that we can put on the agenda. Dr. David, where are you? You can add to this. But we can, even if it means that we connect you with the people who are gathering those stats, that would, because I'm thinking Joy's my go-to gal. That when I have questions on emails for the participants, those who are being vaccinated, and she's the stats girl behind the scene of the booking page for me. So I'm thinking, David, that's what we could do is if we had a clearer sense, Barb, of the types of questions or the information you're looking for, we would just take it to them and say, hey, we need this information. These guys need this information, and connect you to them.
Yeah, so Ami Saray and I can have a sidebar conversation, because it can really lend nicely to the Be Counted research that we're doing right now, or Don't Count Us Out research that we're doing right now, because those would be hardcore numbers that can be both quantifiable in terms of the number of folks who've been tested in the different press, and for Ami Saray's research, for our research, sorry, not just yours, Ami Saray, we'd be very interested in the Preston clinics that took place, and then out of curiosity, we'd probably be still interested in the Hammonds Plains clinic and any of the other ones that took place in the Black community. But our focus for the Don't Count Us Out would be the Preston. But very interested in the data, period, because it just really speaks to how many people and the apprehensions and the trust that is existing around the vaccine, which is important.
And as we know, the largest number of that 977 the largest component was from the township, right? So she would, I'm confident that she would be able to pull that stats information out for you. What do you think, David and Sharon?
Well, I think, wouldn't hurt to ask. As Sharon said earlier, I think there has been some inconsistency with collection, but I mean, we can ask and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and we can also make recommendations back to government with the engagement around health data collection that government is the government working group. We can make recommendations back to them that the information that is collected has been collected in the health system, i.e. With colorectal cancer screening, with, and Donna will know this, reproductive care screening, that information be made public, or at least be part of the information that we can send back publicly, aggregated so that we have a sense of our health outcomes. So that could certainly be recommendations that come back from that community engagement process. And I'll be looking at many of you, Dr. Barb included, to help us get that work done.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. No, thank me. Oh yeah, gee, I just did that one. Okay, so our last presentation is Sarah Ann Upshaw, and I did see Sarah Ann. She's the program manager of Promoting Leadership in Health for African Nova Scotians Plans, otherwise known as, and Angela Vermeer, Dalhousie Global Health Office Program Manager. Where is Sarah and Angela?
Hello, just let me get set up here. There we
Hello.
go. Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Perfect. Oh, is it presenting in present? There we go. Perfect. All right, here we go. So good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Upshaw, and like you said, I'm the Plans Program Manager. Excited to be here this evening with Angela to talk a little bit about the Plans Program, as well as for Angela to share a little bit about the Volunteer Patient Program. On the clicker button. Hold on a second here. There we go. All right, so just a little bit about the PLANS program. So the goal of PLANS is to, and PLANS stands for Promoting Leadership in Health for African Nova Scotians, but our overall goal is to increase the representation of people of African descent across the health professions through some targeted recruitment and retention, community collaborations, and partnerships that foster a pathway of equity and support. So just briefly, some of the initiatives that PLANS offers. So PLANS offers initiatives and support to individuals across their educational journey, whether that's our summer programming for junior high and high school students, assistance with admission pathways, scholarship and bursary programs, preparation for medical school applications, and mentorship opportunities. PLANS also supports many programs and opportunities for our learners, including the Volunteer Patient Program that we're going to talk a little bit more about tonight. So I'll turn it over to Angela just to kind of talk a little bit about the Volunteer Patient Program at Dalhousie.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak, and I really enjoyed listening to all your presentations. I am the coordinator of the Volunteer Patient Program at the Dalhousie campus. I'd really quickly like to say hello to Dr. Haas. I miss him terribly. He was a tutor with us forever, and he's just such a great guy. It's lovely to see your face. The Volunteer Patient Program will be going into its 12th year. Last year was the first year that we went to 3 days a week because of the numbers of our student body keeps increasing. We provide the opportunity for our students to have 2 hours a week with members of the community so that the community can share their health history as the students ask them questions, and they're just learning to do that because it's in Med 1. And then the community members, our volunteers, allow for the students to practice a physical exam. So we do have a quick video that perhaps we'll show because is a fair bit of the program is explained in the video. And we made this it just got finished as COVID came. So it was meant to be shown to thank our volunteers after 10 years of joining us. And we never got to have that celebration, but they did get to see it on their screens at home. So if Sarah will show you that, then I'd be happy to pick up where it leaves off, or maybe we just have questions, whatever you like.
Perfect. And I will put the link for the full video in the chat as well, but we'll just show a little bit of it just to get us started here.
Thank you, Sarah.
Is there supposed to be sound? We're not hearing any.
Yeah, there seems to be some issue with the
Oh,
quality
sorry.
of it. Sarah.
So Sarah, what you probably forgot to hit was share volume when you shared your screen. So you might have to log out, log back in, look for the share volume.
Oh,
that
dear.
really just pops up really quickly, and just hit share volume from computer.
Just stop sharing, and then when you start sharing again,
Yeah,
don't log out yet.
it only takes a sec. And it will just, it's very small. It's usually up in the right-hand corner that says share computer volume or something like that. After you have to stop sharing though.
Oh, it's
Stop
that I can.
sharing.
Oh, let me just 1 second. See if I can do it because it told me I did it.
Okay.
Yes.
It
There you
worked.
go.
Yeah, it
The
worked.
program is its people, and not enough can be said to express the appreciation for the volunteers being involved.
The volunteer patient program is really integral to the education of medical students, really at all levels of medical education.
People volunteer their time to go in and speak with 2 to 4 medical students over the course of 2 hours, giving their own history and allowing the students to practice taking that history and doing a physical exam in a non-stressful environment. The whole goal of it is for the students to be able to practice on patients that are volunteers.
It's like the training wheels in terms of how to deal with patients as they go forward when they are really sick. To do things even as simple as a blood pressure cuff. It isn't until you've had a blood pressure cuff put on upside down a few times that you realize it's not as easy sometimes as it looks.
The program includes a diverse collection of individuals. We have people of different ethnicities, different cultures, different socioeconomic backgrounds, and these people are fantastic. They often have very interesting medical histories and stories that they want to share with students to help in their education.
The volunteer patient program has a high success rate in being popular with the students because it is so consistent in their lives. It's every week, and every week they're meeting a new person, and every week they know they're going to meet a new person. And so that is going to be an encapsulated experience, a relationship that will only last 2 hours.
There's something about first-year medical students who are so eager to learn, so enthusiastic, and they are like sponges. It is absolutely wonderful.
It's amazing how much they learn, and by the end of the year, they can do a full history and physical of all organ systems without any notes in front of them. So it's quite a miraculous improvement over the year, but definitely a lot of nerves the first couple of weeks.
I've never done anything like this before. As a first-year student, it can be a little anxiety-provoking at first, but the only way we're ever going to learn is if we practice, and the volunteer patients are so receptive to that, and they're there because they want us to get better and they know that we need to practice.
I really love that there are all these individuals from different backgrounds. We have people who are younger than me to people who are older than my grandparents, and it's amazing to hear their life, what's important to them, the different things that they factor into their health and what they prioritize.
The volunteer patients always seem to be glad to endure and help us learn.
Interacting with real people makes all the difference.
It's kind of like another level of safety, and instead of being thrown into the clinics and not knowing what you're doing.
It's pretty humbling. It makes you really recognize that you're in a privileged position and you should really respect what's going on right now.
I've had a few interviews with patients who face what seems like a lot of adversity, that they're still able to make time to come in and sit down and talk to us is something that blows me away.
Volunteers are very special people. They give of their time, and many of these volunteer patients you'll find not only volunteer here, but also volunteer in other areas of the community. So they're very community active, motivated individuals. It shouldn't be lost on us that these people volunteer their time and their energy. It's just a very positive scenario.
I really think the volunteers enjoy being part of the learning process. They can really see that development, especially if they're with us on a regular basis. They often remark about how it's going and how from unit to unit they can see the students becoming more confident, their questions being finessed in a way that allow them to glean more appropriate information, and that's just learned from practice. So they really do enjoy just being part of that process. And then also the opportunity to take something that has been difficult, like a health history that has resulted in maybe a loss of work or expensive medications, and you're using that for something important. And people are interested in you and they want to hear about it. That's pretty nice.
I might just pause it there for now, just in the interest of time. So I will let Angela jump in a little bit and talk about, really summarize the volunteer patient program and then talk about the difference between the simulated patient program. But again, this is an opportunity that's for the Med 1 students as part of their learning outcomes. So maybe Angela, if you wanted to talk a little bit more about it.
So our volunteer patient program is for our Med 1s. We do a small unit for Med 2 in April and May of the end of the Med 2 year, but we are about 85% of the clinical skills for Med 1 in meeting our community. I'm very proud of the program. It has, it's done very well to sustain itself. We get great word of mouth. It needs to be more diverse. We would really like to be able to have more African Nova Scotians find this opportunity. We want to find more people from the Muslim community find us. We have some, we really want to represent our community more. We also are always concerned with the numbers. As I said, we're 3 days a week. We're volunteers, probably 20 people every session. So the students are in a very luxurious learning situation, spending a lot of time with one person. Our success is in the variety because the students are there every week and they're meeting someone new every week. There's many stories over the course of the year, the whole academic year that they'll learn from. The difference between the volunteer patient program and the simulated patient program is quite substantial. Our program is ongoing with the support of the community. We offer a $15 stipend to cover travel and our thank yous. A simulated patient program is used for standardized cases that are presented in a certain way. A lot of the acting community of Halifax participate in those, and those are used for exams and communication workshops, and those people are paid an hourly wage. So that is the difference. There's very little crossover between the two. I'd be very happy to answer any questions. I know we're tight for time.
Yeah, maybe I will just go to our medical student testimonial. So if you haven't guessed yet, we are trying to promote this opportunity for broader engagement within the community. So I was able to get a statement from one of our current medical students, just speaking to the lack of diversity that they experienced within their class and how beneficial it would be to have more members of the community present, so that when they're learning the assessment skills that are required during these assessments, that they have that ability to learn on different skin tones and different, have different people with different experiences present. So his actual testimonial kind of speaks to that. So I know you can see it there, but just that need to have better representation within the volunteer patient program. And Angela is a wonderful connect for us to be able to bring that representation into the Dow Medical School and to be able to actually make sure that the students have that representation within this program that they have. So again, the testimonial is there and it can speak for itself, but it's pretty powerful to see that this individual had this experience and just, yeah, how as community members we can give back to provide those unique experiences for some of the students. So yeah. And then I do have a slide at the end that will have just Angela's contact information there, but maybe if there were any questions or anything, I'll leave that up because it is a bit of a long blur, but if there's any questions for Angela or myself, you don't want to take too much
question, Sarah, in the chat. The question,
I cannot see that, yeah.
The question from Catherine is, Is the volunteer patient program based on your real medical history versus a simulated program?
Yes, it is. So your own medical history as to what you care to share, but the students are learning how to take a medical history, and our volunteers answer those questions.
Awesome, thank you.
So can I just ask, how many people of African descent, like what's a number that you have? Say if it's like you have 50 volunteers over the year and only 2 of them are of African descent, like what's the stats?
This last year, which was a challenging year for everybody because of COVID, and we did lose a number of people who weren't willing to come in because we continued to be in person all year at the school. We had 120 people on the roster. I'd say about 80 of those people came frequently, and 8 of those people were African Canadian.
Okay. Okay. You have something else there, Sarah, or?
Well, that's just the information. So if you are interested, you can always reach out to myself or Angela to have more information about that or any additional information about the plans program. But I will put it in the chat as well for people that are interested.
Certainly anybody who was a volunteer patient could do simulation work if they were hired. And if you were a simulated patient, we would love to have you for the volunteer patient program. The volunteer patient program is pretty much set in stone in terms of the times because it's the students' clinical skills. So it's Wednesday afternoons, Thursday and Friday mornings. And that's just makes it challenging for some of the recruitment as people have busy lives. I try to be as flexible as possible with whatever time anyone has to offer. So if you just want to come for one session and try it out, that would be fantastic. We have a pretty high retention rate. People tend to really enjoy it once they give it a shot.
So if I sign up, Angela, for Wednesday afternoon, does that mean it's just every Wednesday afternoon, or is it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday?
We don't have anyone come more than once a week. It's just that's kind of a good policy for us. And people sharing their health history 3 times a week would be a lot of an ask. And if you're not available every Wednesday, then you don't come every Wednesday. We would talk about your availability, your schedule, and I would put you in. I really want to be as open for our program to allow the community to try us. And I understand that no one's going to make a long commitment of something they haven't experienced.
Sister Veronica, Eunice had a question in the chat. Can someone who is a simulated patient also volunteer for the volunteer program?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be great.
Okay. And how young?
We're pretty much setting our cutoff. We have some students who will come in their last year of high school with the blessing of their parents and the school, and that they're not missing a class because they're trying it out to see about being interested in sciences. We have a lot of students on campus who come as a volunteer opportunity because they're getting to see what medical school looks like. And so it's actually a bit of a win-win for our younger volunteers. So I'd say 17, 18, that time frame. And then we have our oldest volunteer is 92.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. I trust as a result of your presentation, you're going to have some people sign up. So as you guys heard it, that's the challenge. We need people of African descent there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let's see if we can kind of flood your doors a bit so that we can train these doctors. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Oh, I really
perfect timing because you're
Thank you.
recruiting right now for next year. So it's perfect time to get in to make sure you have the opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. And if you can't do it, members, spread the word.
Yes, please.
Right. So, all right. So I think everybody's had the questions answered because we asked them as we went through. Cole, am I missing anything before we sign off, folks?
I don't think you are. I just want to say that the volunteer patient program and the simulated patient program is going to build culturally competent professionals. And that's what we want. People of any color to build their cultural competence so that they can serve our people appropriately as well as other people. So what they learn there, they can really apply. And that's so important to better outcomes for us.
Perfect. So with that being said, it's been a lot of sharing this evening, a lot of some new information and some resources in your knowledge toolkit. I thank you all for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you involved in one of our committees, or better yet, on our board. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Board members, next meeting following, you got 5 minutes to go to the bathroom.
And all of
Good night,
our
everyone.
paid members.
Good
Thank
night.
you
Yes,
so much.
members.
Okay, see you in a minute.
Okay.